Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, Tammy Lynn Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey. So welcome, friends, to yet another episode of the podcast as we are live streaming over here on Instagram. Wanted to do a little follow-up for the full moon episode from yesterday. So if you're new to the podcast, welcome, settle in, sit down. Hey Rob! Got new stuff here. I haven't been live in so long. There's all these new options on the bottom of my screen. So if you're new to the podcast, we are live streaming on the podcast. Welcome. Get settled in. Let's all get settled in. If you're a returning listener, thank you. Thank you for joining me on yet again another podcast episode. I'm outside. I've got this weird thing going on here. This weird effect. It's kind of cool. So let's get ourselves settled before we actually, and hopefully you can hear me okay because it's really far away. I am good. Yeah, let's talk about how we're doing. So first, let's choose how you want to listen to the podcast episode today. You can choose to just sit back and relax and see how this goes. If you are listening on a podcast provider, then you're not obviously going to see the live. You would have to join us here on Instagram for all the live goodness. So I may be referring to things that you can't see on your device as you're listening. So you'll just have to use your psychic senses to discern what we're talking about, because I do have some cards here and some other things that I may be showing to people who've actually shown up on the actual live. You can choose to take your listening experience an octave higher and join me around the sacred circle as I wrap us all in love light and light love, calling in the spirit guides, totems, wisdom keepers, Anamkara, power animals, whatever. I'm definitely calling in the angels today to join us in this space just because of the energy that's going on right now. I've been asked to walk alongside Archangel Metatron to the left and Archangel Haniel to the right for the next 6 days. So we'll talk more about why they're here in a moment. And you can choose to take your listening experience or your watching experience an octave higher and invite in your own spirit guides, totems, wisdom keepers, your own angels or deities, whoever you want to work with as we begin to invite in the reason that we're here, asking the guides to step forward and maybe just talk to us a little bit about what's going on. I especially want to follow up with the weird story that we read yesterday, and if you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode yet, that's fine. I'm going to pull that up and read from it in just a minute here. It's the Spirit Guides of Tessa Locke. But before we do that, two things, just to kind of like get it a little more lighthearted. Earlier, right before this episode, my son, he's off doing his own thing in his room, but he started playing, It's Raining Men again, and I was like, oh, every time he plays It's Raining Men, the energy gets a little bit crazy. So we've got It's Raining Men. We have, I did put on my little banner that I posted on Instagram that one of the things we were going to be doing was corralling catahulas, and we didn't even have to save that for the episode. Be careful what you wish for, right? So right before this, I was trying to get the dog to get tired. This is her second outing of the day. I had a ball. I had her on her horse lead because I can't let her run loose. And I was throwing the ball, but I was trying to, she's so super fast. The only dog that can go faster than her that I've seen so far is a Whippet, and a Whippet is like super fast. So I was trying to throw the tennis ball, but I was trying to like run along with her with the horse lead at the same time, hoping that she wouldn't pull me out too far, that I could keep up with her. Well, bad idea. Older lady, crazy fast dog, and she went a lot farther out than I thought, and I was like, she is going to pull me down, and I had to let go of her leash, but there was already so much momentum going that I felt like I was a superhero just flying through the air, and I like landed and face planted in the dirt. So I definitely have tweaked the whole lower part of my body. And that was something we talked about yesterday with like crazy chaotic energy going on. So no more corralling Catahoulas right now. They're definitely too fast for me. So, and the third thing is also, I did put together a little mug cake. I told y'all I wanted to do mug cake. So I went, if you haven't had a chance to do it, whatever, you can try this later. I'll post the link to these recipes. I think I posted, the one I posted in my highlights on Instagram, it was a, what was it, blueberry. But this one, I had bananas, and they have, the Pickup Limes video had like 5 different recipes, and this is the banana muffin kind of one. Why am I not seeing myself? Let me poor connection. This thing. Okay, so poor connection on Instagram. Although, let me say that after lots of expense, because my partner wanted to switch to what he considered to be a better provider. Oh my gosh, a better provider. The reception to me is no better. So I don't know if anybody's still on here, and it keeps like shutting me down, which is very strange because I'm supposed to be live, but I don't want to let that bother us too much. So what I'm gonna do, okay, this is really crazy. What I'm gonna do, I don't want to like fuss with this too much. So the live is not gonna work. Then I'm just going to keep going over here. So I'm going to try to go make our mud cake in the microwave. I don't know how this is going to do for over here because apparently Verizon isn't the best cell phone company in the world. So I'm going to go make my mud cake. You've got 2 minutes in the microwave. And we will come back to that in a moment. Okay, so our poor Instagram listeners, watchers, I don't know what's going on with my connection. I'm supposed to have super fast internet and super fast. Okay, so the mud cake is in the microwave. We're supposed to have super fast lightning speed internet and all this yada yada. And because, of course, it's Mercury retrograde, we are having these technical difficulties. So mud cake's in the microwave for 2 minutes. Let's see here. I'm just going to go ahead and move on in case we have these issues. I do want to go into something. I want to just take a deep breath, first of all, and ask the guides that are here what they would like us to focus on for this time. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and just talk a little bit about Rutger's knapsack because they keep bringing me back to this. This is from the story that we channeled yesterday, and the knapsack that Rutger pulled out
that was part of the raft in this story, the Spirit Guides of Tessa Locke, as part of our full moon that's coming up, said that the knapsack had $2, a penny, a bottle of wine, and a girly magazine, which Rucker has already drank all the wine. He already looked at the magazine, and some things came up that triggered him. And something was coming up about looping, things happening in circles, circular things happening. And then 3 people showed up around his fire, his bonfire or whatever. It wasn't really a bonfire, but 3 people showed up, and he didn't know who they were. And so this is what they want me to explore, this part. So they showed me last night in dreams this looping that has to do with friendships. So we want to talk about friendship looping for a minute. And I had a dream last night. It was very scary, and it had to do with someone who in past lifetimes was a friend, but in this lifetime became like a romantic partner. And the problem with that was that somewhere back in some time, a friendship bond had been made. Like, we're always going to be friends forever and ever and ever. And it was kind of like, okay, do you really want that? This goes back to the looping we had the other, a few episodes ago, where we talked about pacts that were made. And then in that case, it was a blood pact. But this one was just like a friendship bond. But the forever and ever and ever thing was the part that has persisted through time. And so in various lifetimes, you keep meeting up with the same person over and over and over again. But because you're ready to move away technically from that relationship, you're kind of like angry that you're in it in a sense. And so that did happen in this lifetime for me. I met someone who, when I met them, I was like disappointed because I expected them to be somebody else, and they weren't. And so because they weren't, I don't know why, because of the friendship bond, we ended up entering into like a romantic relationship, even though it felt more brother-sister-ish in a way. And because it was very comfortable, it wasn't very challenging, but it was kind of volatile in a way, like, I don't really want to be with you. Wow, this is the weirdest thing. I don't even know if we're still live streaming. This live streaming is becoming a challenge because it's really volatile. It didn't end so well at all. And so I was shown in the dream state last night, like, let's just go ahead and delete this friendship bond, because it's another sort of corrupt code that is causing you two people to come together, and the circumstances are becoming disharmonious. Because I remember in that relationship there was a lot of I hate you and I don't like you and blah, 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 like a lot. Of course, that was before we knew kind of how to work with things. This is like a long time ago. I'm talking about probably almost 30 years ago. So, I deleted that bond because it showed up in a dream, and the dream was very scary, and I didn't like it. And it's almost like the person was showing up in my dream state, kind of like, please release me from this, because they kept coming into my reality, into my conscious awareness, and I'm like, I really don't want to end up in another lifetime, like, kind of bound to this person. Like, I'm ready to meet new friends. I'm ready to do some new things and meet some new people. And that is where I think the new people were coming in for Rutger. So I've had to ditch the IG live just to say I don't know what's going on with the connection. It's apparently not strong enough or whatever. So I'll come back to that in a moment. I just don't want to mess up what we've got going on here. So I did delete that. It was very easy to delete that. I asked the angels to show me what to do to delete that connection, and they did. But this is just asking you to look in your own relationships and just see, like, are there some friendships, this is specifically about friendships, turning into, like, bad friendships, like toxic friendships? And are there any that I could, that I feel like I'm done with, and I don't want to see that person again in another lifetime? Like, the karmic debt has been paid, and you have to kind of know if the debt has been paid. And if you're not sure, you can ask your guides. But like, the karmic debt has been paid, and I don't want to see this person anymore. I think I'm kind of done. I'm ready to bring in new, different soul tribe, new, different soul family, and that's part of what this whole New Earth 5D thing is all about, right? So I deleted the bond. They showed it to me like onion rings, but this friendship bond was just like a ring in amongst a bunch of other rings, and I was able to just pull it up and out and just like break it in half and just, decree that it was dissolved. And when I did, I felt like a big relief from my side and from the other person's side, just energetically, like a big sense of relief. And that was already having, so this is where I said, I think in yesterday's episode, that you kind of really have to know how to get in and do some of this deeper work. And I will say that I had done a lot of forgiveness work with this person, just on the 5D, a lot of Ho'oponopono, all of that was kind of done, but this person just kept showing back up. Sometimes they would astral project to me, just calling my name and wanting to talk to me, or just kind of stand, around or whatever. And now I feel like I really have completely dissolved that bond. And so I would just invite you, as this Sag full moon comes up and there seems to be more shadow stuff coming up to be dealt with, to just take a look at any of those, and to just work with your guides if there are some of those that remain that are making you feel uncomfortable. Because in the dream state, this felt very uncomfortable. It was like all the toxic things that were said between us kind of like built into its own, like, not demon, because it really is not demonic, but it just built into its own, like, bad, like, thought bubble kind of a thing surrounding this relationship. And it's like, if I had to come into this bond again with this person in the next lifetime, I think it would just keep getting more and more toxic. So I think that's just something to look at, because I want to call in the new people that are coming in, call them in, and just, it's time for some new friendships and some new experiences and some new ways of working with relationships. And I think now that we have this heightened sense of awareness of, I don't make certain bonds and contracts lightly anymore. I don't, throw curses around like I might have done in some previous lifetime where that was just kind of the way of doing things. I am aware that I am a conscious creator of my reality, and I am doing things in a way that supports positive energy flow moving forward. So I am going to do, since I don't know what happened to the live, I just had to kind of ditch it. I am going to do a pick a pile. I'm going to do 2 piles as my injured self this is Spirit's way of making me slow down, or if this is toxic, impish energy's way of like saying, we're going to try to thwart you. Throwing you fall down. I don't know anymore. I almost even really wiggle. Alright, so I'm going to do 2 piles only. We'll timestamp them. And this is for this next 6 days. What do I most need to know right now? What areas do I most need to focus on? What's going to be coming up for me personally? This, we're going from Happy Cloud for pile number 1. Happy Cloud for pile number 2. It does seem like Fridays is becoming pick-a-pile day. Drawing from Labyrinth of Dragonfire for pile 1. What does pile 1 most need to know about? 2 cards. What does pile 2 most need to know about? That's a whole bunch of cards. And from the Modern Witch Tarot, I'm in pain. What does pile 1 need to know about? And what does pile 2 need to know about? We had one person on the live, and I know that he does listen to the podcast too, so Rod, I'm very sorry, but I don't know what was happening. It was absolutely weird. Okay, so pile number 1, let me just look at the time. This is going to be weird. 6:31. But I have to merge all these videos together, so let's see. Pile 1 is 6:31. Okay, so for you, pile 1, you chose pile 1. We have 4 cards. What you most need to know right now, I'm going to lay them out. Two things. So from Happy Cloud, we got check-in. Your guides are trying to reach you. We got the letter Y on the front, which kind of looks like somebody standing with their legs together and kind of holding their arms open. I think in yoga they call this volcano pose, which is interesting because on the back it's allow the serpent to rise, card number 4, which is kind of about Kundalini rising. Oh, and it's funny, I'm just visited by a chameleon, like a little serpent, a little mini serpent, right here, right in front of me. I also got the New Moon card, card number 27, and I got the 5 of Swords. And in this case, in this particular deck, she's holding 3 swords, 2 are on the ground. A couple of people are in the background with their backs to us. They're drawing me kind of to the outfit too, that she's wearing like a black jumpsuit and like a white, almost like a lab coat. I don't know why that's important. And blue boots. This kind of seems like a couple of different things. So definitely you need to get in touch with your spirit guides. You need to sit down. You need to do this. This is like, was it last Friday we did a pick a card? I don't know when it was a Friday, and we had it was at the beginning of Wolf Quest. We had pick a card, and all 3 piles got the same messages. But this one is definitely check in. Your guides are trying to get in touch with you. They have some messages to share with you. They have some things that they apparently they want you to do. They're saying, but you're kind of busy right now, and there's this alternate reality kind of that you're living in, and they're trying to show you some things that are coming up that you need to be made aware of about some change and transformation that's coming up for you, because they say that you're like too focused on what's happening right. You're supposed to be in the now, but it's like you're too much thinking that your now is the way that it's going to be from here on out. This little lizard is coming back. That this is going to be the way it's going to be from here on out. And so what you see now is kind of a result of past manifestations already put in place and already happening on the 3D, But what you're supposed to be doing right now is setting intentions. That's this new moon card. Setting intentions for the way you want your future to look like. Planting seeds for a new reality. What's here in front of you now is manifestations have already been done. There's nothing you can really do to change them because you've already harvested those seeds that you planted. Now it's time to plant new seeds. It's time to realize that, change is ever flowing and always happening. And to get ready for the new to come, you have to be very clear on what you want the new to be. And that's this Five of Swords, is you see like there's chaos in front of you. There's people that are unhappy. Possibly you might be unhappy. You're all up in your head. There's a lot of conflicting thoughts around what you're seeing as your now reality. And you can't influence other people's free will choice, which I think is part of what's happening here is, yeah, you're the creator of your own reality, but you can't influence other people's free will choice. And I think in a sense, because we're used to being the soul, and then we come to this earth school and we're kind of put on this 3D plane, we get very frustrated by the time it takes for manifestations to occur. And part of New Earth now, whatever you want to call it, is removing time from the equation. So this is the second recording now where we've gotten time, talking about removing time, looking at time from a different perspective. And I feel like there's going to be this way of working with time maybe that is a little bit different, that starts to come up when we get into the June forecast. But for now, you, group 1, are supposed to get really clear on what you want. Realize that just because it's in front of you right now, you've manifested some things. It doesn't always have to be that way. It's not always going to be your reality. Things shift and change here all the time. And you're being asked to just trust and work with your guides to better understand that you're not alone and that things are going to change. They're saying very soon. So that is it for pile 1. Let's move on to pile 2. So you might be listening to both piles, and if you're not, then pile 1, folks, I thank you so much for listening on this crazy, freaky Friday. Maybe I'm just going to start calling this Freaky Fridays. And I'm going to move on to pile number 2. 46. I'm going to just mark the time. 12:46. Okay, pile number 2. You actually got, let's see, maybe the number of cards is important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. So your tarot card, the Lovers. Here it comes. You got the Lovers. You got, from the Labyrinth of Dragonshire deck, we got the Water card. It has a W on the front, kind of a watery W, like under, and it looks underwater. Like the W is under the ocean. And the back of the card is card number 29, which is an 11. Water, depths, emotions, heartbeats, tears, and fears. We also got the R card. It's the letter R. It's got like a sun peeking out from under some clouds. And the R looks very happy to me. It's outside, hanging out. And it's card number 6, Reinvent Yourself. Also from the Labyrinth of Dragonshire deck, we got the first quarter moon card, which is all a card about forward motion. The first quarter moon is typically when you get going and start moving on certain things. And we're working with the moon phases on this card. If I put them down, though, they also do spell the word row, R-O-W, like rowboat, or row like Rutger, kind of rowing downstream in his raft from our story yesterday. From Happy Cloud, we got expand, you are upgrading. And we also got live, enjoy each day in peace. What do we want to know here? You're showing me the Lover's card. Of course you'd be showing me that card. And the angel on this Lover's card has her hands over her heart. So usually this Lover's card, the traditional one, is like a devil with the two lovers and they're chained and all that good stuff. This one is a little bit more Garden of Eden-ish. It's the guy and a girl, which the gender doesn't matter. So like divine masculine, divine feminine. They look perfectly balanced here. They're holding their hands out to each other. They're not chained together. There's, in front of her, there's like an apple tree with the Adam and Eve, like the serpent on the apple tree. And in front of him, I don't know, there's like a tree with some flames or something is what it looks like. And there's like a little mountain in front of them, and there's like a cityscape behind them. But instead of a devil, there's an angel, a beautiful angel, and she has her hands over her heart against like a night sky. There's a lot happening on this card, and it does remind me of, I don't have that deck, but they're showing me my other deck. They're working with the 4 elements, John Collins or something, and the card is the Angel Garden card, and it says something about planting seeds right now for creating your own heaven on earth and growing your own heaven on earth. And again, they're talking about being peaceful about where you're at, but it more has to do with, it's almost, I'm not sure it's 2 messages. It feels like a journey, and they're taking me back to the message from the full moon update from yesterday's reading, where Riker got into the raft, and he had everything he needed along the journey because he is upgrading. He doesn't really understand how yet. He doesn't understand what or how. That's where this expand your upgrading card comes in. And he seems very peaceful though about the whole thing. Like the lone wolf led him to the river. There was a raft just waiting for him. Like everything is he's like, they're saying you're being shown the way. Like everything's being provided for you. It may not necessarily be everything that he wants, because he did get a knapsack with some food. It was kind of like food, like old camping food. He had a magazine, he had some wine that he could kind of like kick back and relax. He got to a certain destination where night was falling, and he was going to have to camp because he didn't want to be in the boat at night. And he doesn't even know where the boat's going. He assumes it's heading towards the ocean, but he's really not sure. And he ends up in this like grove of elementals and trees, who again give him a bag of stuff. They're like, oh, here comes another one of those lone travelers again, those journeyers. And they gives him a bag of stuff, and again he gives him like a blanket and some clothes, some warm clothes, and a way to start a fire and a flashlight. And that's what's happening here, is you're going on this journey over the next 6 days, culminating at the Lion's Gate. You don't know, and the Lovers has to do with this love for yourself, a self-love journey, as well as a sacred partnership journey. And you don't know where it's going, you don't know how to get there, you don't know what's going to happen along the way. You're just being asked to live and enjoy each day in peace. Each day a new part of the journey unfolds. Each day you're given what you need to better understand where you're going, the part of the process that you're in, the steps that you might need to take. They want me to draw one more card. The steps that you might need to take to get there. Whoa! They want me to draw another Happy Cloud card. I knew it was going to come out. Oh my God. Check in. Your guides are trying to reach you. All right. So you're being given downloads, they're saying, of what's to come. But they are asking you for the next 6 days during this full moon passage to stay very close to your guides, because of this trickster / impish / whatever spiritual warfare that's going on. There could be things put in your path to try to deter you, to try to make you think that you're not on a path to your divine counterpart, that you're not on a spiritual journey to upgrade, and that you're not in ascension, and you're not awakening, and all of this is just kind of like, there's just energies around trying to pull you off your path. So your guides want you to stay very close to them during this time. And the next 6 days is key, but the next path to Lion's Gate is just a journey of trust and self-discovery, and even the next 6 months, because the number 6 is very important. You'll notice you had 6 cards at the beginning of this, and you now have 7 cards. So it's a progression. There's only 1 card came out. So it's a progression of steps along the way, and it really leads to Lion's Gate being the first major gate where you're going to see some significant progress in your journey. And then the next solstice, not this one that's coming up here in June, but the winter solstice for us in the northern hemisphere, and the summer solstice if you're in the southern hemisphere, being the next major part of the journey. So 3s and 6s, with 6s right now, having to do with physical manifestation of things you've been working on for this journey, coming into play. Lion's Gate being 1, so you're supposed to just not to look too far ahead, but I knew time frames was going to come up, and usually Spirit is reticent to give time frames, but in this case they are saying work with the 6s, and know that 6 hours from now you're going to have more clarity, 6 days from now you're going to have more clarity. When the Lion's Gate gets here, which is, I don't know, maybe that's 60 days away or close to it, you're going to have more clarity. And her red cardinal just flew by, which for me is a moniker and a sign of divine counterpart union, and the divine masculine. And here comes the serpent, the little mini serpent, the welcoming one. And the end of the year, the winter time for us in the north, the solstice, energy of the winter solstice. So that's it. And I think for the next 6 days, so tomorrow is Saturday, I am going to record after hours for us. But the next time, instead of Pinky Von Pinkerton, they want me to continue with Rutger and the Spirit Guides of Tessa Locke. So on Sunday, when I record our storytelling, we'll be continuing with that story to see what's happening as we follow Rutger, possibly Jenna coming back in, and see what's going on with this particular story. So right now, I want to thank you all so much for joining me. Hi. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast, and we will see you all again soon in the next episode. Take care. This episode has been brought to you by Mugwort Mavens. You know who you are. All those not so normal people out there who just are a little bit more magical than some of our other worldly folks. Mugwort Mavens is here to support you with whatever your magical needs are, be it a sprig of mugwort, a mandrake root, or a blessed belladonna flower. Come to Mugwort Mavens for your magical needs.